The Judiciary Committee meeting will come to order. I want to thank Ranking Member Grassley for agreeing to this 10:30 start time. The members on this side greatly appreciate your cooperation. Today, for the first time in the 117th Congress, this committee will hold a vote on judicial nominees. Before I turn to nominations, however, I want to note that we have on the agenda for the first time today 3 bipartisan criminal justice bills. S-312, the COVID-19 Safer Detention Act of 2021, S-601, Prohibiting Punishment of Acquitted Conduct Act of 2021, and S-1014, the First Step Implementation Act of 2021, and all 3 bills will be held over. I want to say how happy I am that the committee is once again considering bipartisan legislation on a regular basis, and I certainly hope it continues. Particular thanks to the Democratic and Republican members of the committee who are co-sponsors of these bills, particularly my ranking member, Senator Grassley. It's not too late to be added as a co-sponsor if you're interested. Today, the committee will vote on 5, what I consider outstanding judicial nominees. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, nominated to the D.C. Circuit. Candace Jackson-Akiwumi, nominated for the 7th Circuit. Julian Niels, nominated to the District of New Jersey. Judge Zahid Qureshi, also nominated to the District of New Jersey. Regina Rodriguez, nominated to the District of Colorado. Each of these nominees received a well-qualified rating from the American Bar Association. That's the highest rating. And each will be ready to deliver equal justice under the law. These nominees will bring to the bench outstanding credentials and experience and a variety of professional perspectives that have been underrepresented many times in the judiciary. And of critical importance, these nominees fundamentally understand the role a federal judge plays. Apply the law to the facts without consideration of politics or ideology. So we hope they can make even-handed and fair-minded judgments. Take, for example, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, nominated to the D.C. Circuit. Unanimously confirmed by this body on 2 separate occasions, once to serve on the Sentencing Commission and once to serve on the D.C. District Court. During her time on the bench, Judge Jackson has issued close to 600 opinions in cases touching on constitutional law, criminal justice, federal agency action, immigration, labor and employment matters, disability rights, national security, and international affairs, as well as environmental law. With these opinions, Judge Jackson has proven time and again she's driven by an abiding belief in impartiality and the rule of law. It's little wonder, then, that she's earned the support across the spectrum. Endorsements by former D.C. Circuit Judge Thomas Griffith, a George W. Bush appointee, who wrote to the committee and said, "Although she and I have sometimes differed on the best outcome of a case, I've always respected her careful approach and agreeable manner, 2 indispensable traits for success in a collegial body." Judge Jackson no doubt has big shoes to fill. After all, she's been nominated to replace now Attorney General Merrick Garland. With her even-handed approach to judicial decision-making and the depth and breadth of her experience as a judge, commissioner on the Sentencing Commission, and former federal public defender, I have every confidence that Judge Jackson will serve as a model jurist. I'll be supporting her nomination to the D.C. Circuit. Based on her qualifications, credentials, experience, and commitment to apply the law to facts, I strongly believe that every one of my colleagues should likewise vote to advance her nomination to the floor. We'll also be voting on Candace Jackson-Akiwumi, who has been nominated to an Illinois seat on the 7th Circuit. Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi is an experienced litigator who will bring much-needed diversity, both professional and racial, to the Circuit Court. She spent 10 years serving as a federal public defender in Chicago. What struck me was that she left the private practice to go to work as federal public defender, but obviously not to check a box on her resume. 10 years in that capacity, she represented over 400 indigent defendants and gained an appreciation for every facet of the criminal justice system. I thought her handling of questions, sometimes technical and very challenging on a legal basis, was extraordinary. She's worked on every stage of the criminal justice process: investigations, trial, sentencing, and appeal. This experience has given her an understanding of the real-world impact of sentencing decisions and disparities. It also reflects her deep commitment to equality within justice. Perspectives like those of Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi are often missing from the bench. There appear to be only 2 sitting federal judges who spent a majority of their legal career as federal public defenders. I've lost count of how many former federal prosecutors we have on the bench, and they do an extraordinary job. But there are 6 of them on the 7th Circuit alone. So I, for one, am glad to see President Biden putting forth nominees like Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi, who have significant federal public defender experience. And she has experience handling civil matters as well from her time in private practice. It cannot be ignored that Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi would also bring racial diversity to the 7th Circuit. Upon confirmation, she'll be the only current minority judge and the second ever to serve on that court. The NAACP said it best: the absence of diversity undermines integrity and legitimacy of the federal judiciary. Judges from different racial, ethnic, and other backgrounds enrich judicial decision-making and promote trust and confidence in communities impacted by rulings. It is unfortunate that not a single African-American circuit court nominee was put forward in the last 4 years. 54 circuit court appointments and 0 black nominees. It's about time to change that, and I think President Biden is choosing to elevate highly qualified and diverse nominees. At her confirmation hearing, my colleagues raised concern about some of the individuals she has represented. I will just tell you, as federal public defender, she is living up to the highest standards of our profession, and our hope that everyone has professional counsel when required by law. Of course, our justice system only works when that criminal defendant has an advocate. And I would point out that Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi nomination has the support of 4 recent U.S. attorneys from the Northern District: Patrick Fitzgerald, who many of you know personally, Scott Lazar, Dan Webb, and Anton Valukas. Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi understands and respects the differences between being an advocate and a judge. No one can reasonably question her commitment to equal justice and the rule of law. I believe she'll wholeheartedly apply the law to the facts, and I strongly support her. Julian Niels is a person that I'm going to defer to Senator Booker after I finish speaking to say a few words because of his unique personal relationship with this individual. He is the first of 2 eminently qualified nominees who will be voting on today to end what the Administrative Office of the U.S. Court has designated as a judicial emergency in the state of New Jersey. Mr. Neal is some judge. He's presided over 6,000 cases during his time as Chief Judge of the Newark Municipal Court. I think that's more than Judge Judy. Before that, in private practice, he handled over 30 matters that were tried to verdict, judgment, or final decision, including 7 jury trials. With these experiences, he's more than prepared to take the bench in a seat the people of New Jersey have waited 6 years to fill. What's more, he'll bring to the bench an expertise in municipal law that he earned in 30 years, first in private practice in Secaucus, then as a member of Mayor Cory Booker's administration, which had to be a challenge, and most recently as counsel for Bergen County. When Mr. Niels was first considered by this committee in 2015, his qualifications secured him a voice vote out of the committee. I see no reason, and I hope that, why that would be different today. Judge Zahid Qureshi is another extraordinary story. He's had a distinguished career in public service, exceptionally well qualified to be a district court judge. In addition to serving as U.S. magistrate, Judge Qureshi has dedicated the vast majority of his career to public service. He served in the U.S. Army Judge Advocate General's Corps. I wish Senator Graham were here to hear this, where he attained the rank of captain and was twice deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 2006. For his service, Qureshi was awarded the Bronze Star and the Combat Action Badge. Leaving the Army, Qureshi continued to work in public service, first as Assistant Chief Counsel in the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, then as a federal prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Jersey. Qureshi also has had a distinguished career in private practice as a partner in law firm and as the firm's chief diversity officer. If confirmed, I hope everyone understands Judge Qureshi will be the first American Muslim in U.S. history to serve as an Article III federal judge. Last but not least, Regina Rodriguez has been nominated to the District of Colorado. Tremendous experience in the courtroom. I have no doubt she's ready to serve on the bench. She's practiced for 30 years, taking 35 cases to verdict, representing the government as an assistant U.S. attorney, rising to become chief of the civil division in her office. She was the first Latina to do so in the District of Colorado. In private practice, she's had a broad range of clients, from individuals to Fortune 500 companies. Given her extensive experience representing plaintiffs and defendants, she understands the importance of applying law to facts. Finally, a few words about her remarkable family story, and I got a chance to meet her mother after her hearing. Regina Rodriguez is the daughter of a Mexican-American father and a Japanese-American mother. Her mother's family was interned during World War II. Only in America could their daughter now be nominated to be a federal judge. If confirmed, Ms. Rodriguez will be the first Asian American judge to serve not only in District of Colorado, but in the 10th Circuit. And with that, I'm going to turn to my colleague, Senator Grassley.
Yeah. Too bad you didn't mention that the nominee from Colorado is a graduate of the University of Iowa Law School.
I would like to amend my remarks to mention, please proceed.
Yeah. I'm pleased that this committee is considering these three justice bills, criminal justice bills, that I'm a co-sponsor of: the COVID-19 Safer Detention Act, the Prohibiting Punishment of Acquitted Conduct Act, and the First Step Act implementation. These bills are being held over, and I hope next week we'll be able to move them out of committee. I'll work with my colleagues if they have any problems with them. We have 5 nominees for votes today. Before I speak about a particular judicial nominee, I want to provide some background on recent history of circuit judges that have gone through this committee in recent Congresses. When Republicans were in charge of this committee during the 114th Congress, we did not have a single party line vote on circuit nominees. The Congress before that, we voted on 24 circuit nominees, only 5 of which were party line. Of those 5, 3 were D.C. circuit nominees. This means that during President Obama's second term, at least some Republicans voted for 83% of Obama's circuit nominees. In fact, more than half proceeded without a single Republican vote in opposition. Fast forward to the Trump administration. In the 115th Congress, I was chairman then, we voted on 31 circuit nominees. 19 of those nominees were party line. In the 116th Congress under Chairman Graham, we voted on 24 circuit nominees. 19 of those were party line. That means that under President Trump, 69% of the circuit nominees were party line. Only 4 nominees, or 7%, advanced without Democrat opposition. I'll also note that of President Trump's minority circuit nominees, only 1 received any Democrat votes. None went by voice vote. Trump nominated more Asian Americans to the Court of Appeals than every other president before him combined, and every single Democrat on this committee voted against every single one of those nominees. I'll just summarize to have it in just one place. Over the last 4 years, 69% of Trump's circuit nominees were party line, and only 7 were reported without Democrat opposition. Over the 4 years before that, only 17% of Obama's circuit nominees were party line, and more than half were reported without Republican opposition. Of course, as this shows, traditionally, Republicans have been more deferential about a Democrat president's ability to pick his judges. But I'll quote again, there can't be one set of rules for Republicans and another for Democrats. As Ms. Gupta explained in written questions, when Democrats opposed Patrick Bumastey, it wasn't because he was gay or because he was Asian American. It was because they disagreed with his record. Democrats spent the last 4 years systematically voting against extremely well-credentialed nominees who were diverse professionally, diverse geographically, religiously, and ethnically, because those nominees weren't committed to a living Constitution. I think Republicans should adhere to a similar standard. We need to hold Democrat circuit nominees to a high standard of constitutionalism, regardless of how impressive their credentials are and how compelling their personal stories may be. Credentials and background aren't enough, as Democrats showed us. Unless a circuit nominee can show me that he or she affirmatively committed to the Constitution as originally understood, I don't think that he or she should be confirmed. It's only a fair way of doing things if you want to be consistent. As to nominees today, I'll be voting against 2 circuit nominees, and I'll be voting for all of the district nominees. Briefly, both Judge Jackson and Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi have impressive backgrounds, but neither has satisfied me that they will adhere to the Constitution as originally understood. In the case of Judge Jackson, this is particularly troubling because in 2013, she told our late colleague, Dr. Coburn, that she affirmatively did not believe in a living Constitution. She won't say any more, though, and she doesn't have a particular good reason why not. In the case of Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi, a review of her record before the committee gives me serious concerns about her commitment to applying Seventh Circuit and Supreme Court precedents on the Second Amendment. Her views on Roe v. Wade are also concerning, as were other aspects of her time as a federal defender. Amusingly, Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi refused to tell me whether or not climate change is real, and I wonder if that will cost her any votes among Democrat friends. We were told that answer was a serious problem when we had Justice Barrett before us. As to the district judges, I'll be voting for all of them. They seem well qualified. I supported Mr. Neal under Obama, and I don't see any reason to change that view now, once again. And Ms. K. Reishi, service prosecuting the war on terror and enforcing our immigration laws under President Bush is admirable. And Mrs. Rodriguez's background as a law firm partner and former prosecutor are very impressive. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Grassley, and I don't question your statistics. I think it's open to interpretation as to whether that reflects a change in judicial nominees or a change in the members of this committee. And it's up to us to, if we're going to be fair, to demonstrate it at all times, regardless of the party of the president. I'd like to submit for the record a list of 17 circuit court nominees during the 115th and 116th Congress who received at least one Democratic vote in committee. I won't read all the names, but they include 2 circuit nominees in the 7th Circuit, which I negotiated with the White House, and we both agreed would be good nominees, and it was supported on a bipartisan basis. The same was true of all of the district court judges in my state. Those were all the subject of negotiation with the Trump White House, and I think we came up with good judges, and I think it can be done, and I encourage others to view the Biden White House in the same context, trying to find bipartisanship where we can. I hope we can do that. I now would open the floor to any comments. Senator Booker.
I'm really grateful, and I've talked to some of my members, the ones I could catch, about the 2 judges you mentioned, and I'd like to actually more speak personally. Judge Qureshi I have not known that long, but I interviewed him at length, and I think that you talked about his career in the United States military, his career as a magistrate judge. I just think it's incredible. He's extraordinarily talented, but I really enjoyed the questioning on both sides when he was here before us. He will make American history and be our first Article III judge that is also Muslim. And this is a cherished ideal on both sides of this committee, this idea of religious freedom, and that we are a country that celebrates that ideal. It was such a sacrosanct ideal and principle that our founders put that into the Constitution. But here we are, generations and generations later, and this will be a real moment of breakthrough of a person who has shown their patriotism. And I really appreciated during the hearing, you brought up difficult things that are often, Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate you just hit him hard with, ideas of Sharia law and all the things that could be said. And I loved his raw, naked patriotism and loyalty to this country that he displayed in his response. So I'm excited about us making history today. Should we vote him out of committee, I find him to be an extraordinary soul. But Mr. President, I don't know how much personal capital I've built on both sides of the aisle. I have good friends in the Senate that I've been able to work with. Senator Grassley, some of my proudest moments in the Senate have been working with you. Senator Cornyn and I actually have a record of getting things done and supporting bills. I'm getting to know Senator Hawley better over these years. Senator Tillis and I have had a chance to work together in this committee on things I'm proud of as well. But I just want to be very personal with my friends on the other side of the aisle about Judge Niels and who he is, and some of my experiences, in hopes that my friends will hear my heart as well as my words. So Judge Niels is one of these individuals that I met when I was taking on an incredible challenge. I don't know how much you all know about Newark, New Jersey, but I was the first mayor in generations not to be indicted. It's a very low bar. Thank you very much. It's an achievement. I expected applause to break out. But going back, I think about 50 years, the first one not to be indicted. We were coming in trying to take over a lot of challenges in an institution that was bankrupt, that was, I tell you, when I got in there, I still remember every official came to me and said, just things you wouldn't think of, like my police director comes in and says, the members of your gang task force by union agreement work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. The problem, Mr. Mayor, is that gangs don't work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And the absurdities that we found, the gross waste of money, the theft, abuse, the challenges that we were facing were extraordinary. And Judge Niels at that time was a private lawyer. And some of my friends said, you need to get private sector experienced people to help you clean up various departments. And so I brought Judge Niels in to clean up our court system, which is the busiest court system in America. And he changed that institution so profoundly, from the times people had to wait, how they were treated, the culture of the institution, and then started setting records. The first community court in the state of New Jersey, first youth court, first veterans court in the state of New Jersey. He did such an extraordinary job. I said, I need you in my corp counsel office, and he came in and transformed that. And then when we were in the grips of the recession, I had to promote him to run the city, to be the business manager of the city of Newark. Now, I don't know if many of you know my journey to being a United States Senator. The challenge I had was more in my primary than it was in my general election, because I was running against sitting Congress people and others who said I was too conservative. And some of you all need to understand where that comes from. Chris Christie's my friend. He and I worked together. And Julian Niels worked with him to do things that I challenge anybody of the 100 of us to show me another person who ran something as a governor, as a county executive like Chris Coons, that cut government more than Julian Niels and I had to do. 25% of our government we cut. It was painful, laying off a quarter of our employees in that building, making departments work. But Julian Niels found ways to get more efficiency out of departments that were often cut in half, to have them perform even better with less. We reached out for partnerships. We didn't care whether you were right or left. Could you help us fix stuff? We partnered with the Manhattan Institute. I could go through the folks that came to Newark, and we would always say there's, quote, Fiorello LaGuardia, there's no Republican or Democratic way to fix a pothole. We've got problems, we have to fix them, and Julian Niels made the city run at a level of efficiency and effectiveness that had never been seen in generations in the city. When I left, he got promoted up to the biggest county, most populous county in our state, over 1 million people, and is now doing that job for Bergen County, New Jersey, which is the county of my birth. And so I just want to say I've known this guy for 20 years. I've sat in the most fierce negotiations with him, and I've often been stunned when I tend to get sometimes emotional. I know you guys haven't seen that. He has this cool about him, this demeanor that I always said, you should sit on the bench because you have this ability to see everybody's side of an argument, cool my passions with logic, common sense, and a objective view of facts. And that's how we made it through crisis after crisis in Newark, from the violent crime rates that were spiking to a global recession and to even Hurricane Sandy. It was this person who remained cool, objective, and helped us manage. And so I just say it's a New Jersey district judge position, and it is, amidst New Jersey being in a judicial crisis, this is a guy, I'm confident that all of us, if you knew him as well as I did, you would want him to be sitting in a district court seat because he does not see party, he does not see people as anything but the humanity in them. And I celebrate him, what he did for me in the most difficult days of leadership I've ever faced. So I've spoken too long, sir, but I'm grateful to my friends for taking some time to listen to me in my appeal.
Thank you, Senator Booker. And I might just say I've spoken to several of you, and I've spoken to Senator Grassley on several occasions. We are awaiting the arrival of Senator Leahy. He has a personal family issue this morning. He's on his way, and his staff tells me he should be here shortly. So that's the reason for the delay. And we can call the roll on the district court nominees after everyone's had a chance to say a word or two, but that's the circumstance that's guiding us this morning. So is there anyone else seeking recognition at this point? Senator Coons.
Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. I just wanted to say that I'm proud to support each of these impressive and highly qualified nominees today. President Biden, his White House counsel's office, his administration have made it clear that adding professional as well as personal diversity to the bench is among their highest priorities. And I'd like to commend the White House counsel for these impressive nominations. Judge Jackson, as has been mentioned, spent years as a federal public defender, went on to become a respected jurist here in the District of D.C., and her obvious intellect and character are reasons that she was unanimously confirmed to that seat in 2013, and I hope she will see some of that same support here today. Ms. Jackson-Akiwumi has similarly spent much of her career as a federal public defender, and if confirmed, will bring that much-needed professional perspective as well as diversity to the Seventh Circuit as its only minority judge. I think all of the nominees today for the District Court and Circuit Court are highly qualified and have demonstrated a commitment to public service and fairness, and I look forward to supporting their nominations. We also have 3 bipartisan criminal justice reform bills, which will be held over, but I think it is worth noting that we continue to move bipartisan legislation at each of our business meetings, and Mr. Chairman, I hope we will continue the tradition of both moving forward qualified nominees and moving forward bipartisan legislation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Coons. If there's no one else seeking recognition, we can call the roll on the district court nominees. On favorably reporting the nomination of Julian Xavier Niels, that is his middle name, I believe.
I did not know that. Xavier.
Xavier.
I thought you said savior, sir. I was about to say, I've got one savior. Julian was great. I would not call him that.
To be U.S. District Judge for the District of New Jersey, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Leahy.
Aye by proxy.
Mrs. Feinstein. Aye. Mr. Whitehouse. Aye. Ms. Klobuchar. Aye. Mr. Coons. Aye. Mr. Blumenthal. Aye. Ms. Hirono. Mr. Booker. Absolutely. Mr. Padilla. Aye. Mr. Ossoff. Aye. Mr. Grassley.
Aye.
Mr. Graham.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Corning. Aye. Mr. Lee.
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz. No. Mr. Sass.
No by proxy.
Mr. Hawley.
No.
Mr. Cotton.
No by proxy.
Mr. Kennedy.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Tillis. Aye. Mrs. Blackburn.
No by proxy.
Chair Durbin.
Aye.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 16 yeas, 6 nays.
And one absolutely. The nomination will be favorably reported to the floor. On favorably reporting the nomination of Zahid Qureshi to be U.S. District Court Judge for the District of New Jersey, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Leahy.
Aye by proxy.
Mrs. Feinstein. Aye. Mr. Whitehouse. Aye. Ms. Klobuchar. Aye. Mr. Coons. Aye. Mr. Blumenthal. Aye. Ms. Hirono. Aye. Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Padilla. Aye. Mr. Ossoff. Aye. Mr. Grassley.
Aye.
Mr. Graham.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Corning.
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
No.
Mr. Sass.
No by proxy.
Mr. Hawley.
No.
Mr. Cotton.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kennedy.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Tillis. Aye. Mrs. Blackburn.
Aye by proxy.
Chair Durbin.
Aye.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 19 yeas, 3 nays.
The nomination will be favorably reported to the floor. The next question is favorably reporting the nomination of Regina Rodriguez to be U.S. District Judge for the District of Columbia, and the clerk will please call the roll.
Mr. Leahy.
Aye by proxy.
Mrs. Feinstein. Aye. Mr. Whitehouse.
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar. Aye. Mr. Coons.
Aye.
Mr. Blumenthal. Aye. Ms. Hirono. Aye. Mr. Booker. Aye. Mr. Padilla. Aye. Mr. Ossoff. Aye. Mr. Grassley.
Aye.
Mr. Graham.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Corning.
Aye.
Mr. Lee.
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz.
No.
Mr. Sass.
No by proxy.
Mr. Hawley.
No.
Mr. Cotton.
No by proxy.
Mr. Kennedy.
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Tillis.
Aye.
Mrs. Blackburn.
Aye by proxy.
Chair Durbin.
Aye.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 17 yeas, 5 nays.
The nomination of Regina Rodriguez to be U.S. District Judge for the District of Colorado will be favorably reported to the floor. Now, we have 2 remaining judges for circuit position, and we will await the arrival of Senator Leahy. Senator Tillis, I'm happy to recognize you.
Thank you, Chair Durbin. I just want to take a moment of personal privilege. I have, I think I mentioned to you before the hearing that I have this, what some may consider an odd policy in my office where I require all my staff to interview for at least one job a year outside of the office. And sometimes that means that they go and pursue another opportunity. Oftentimes they decide to stick around. But recently, Elliot Tomlinson here behind me, who's been on my staff for 2 years, second day on the job, I had no other judiciary staff. He came into the fire in a nominations hearing, did a great job. Since then, he's really helped me with the copyright office, the closing the felony streaming loophole, cybersecurity, intellectual property, working very closely with my friend Chris Coons' staff, and he's just done an extraordinary job. But looks like Marco Rubio needs a general counsel, and my loss is Rubio's gain. So I just wanted to recognize the great service he's done, the working relationship he's had with other staff. And Elliot, I hate to see you go, but I'm glad you're going to a good place. Congratulations.
If there's no one seeking recognition, the committee will stand at ease until the arrival of Senator Leahy.
Casual Thursday.
On favorably reporting the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to be U.S. Circuit Judge for the District of Columbia Circuit, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Leahy?
Aye.
Mrs. Feinstein? Aye. Mr. Whitehouse?
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar?
Aye.
Mr. Coons? Aye. Mr. Blumenthal?
Aye.
Ms. Hirono? Mr. Booker? Aye. Mr. Padilla?
Aye.
Mr. Ossoff? Mr. Grassley? Mr. Graham? Mr. Cornyn? Mr. Lee?
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz? Mr. Sass?
No by proxy.
Mr. Hawley?
No by proxy.
Mr. Cotton?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kennedy?
No by proxy.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mrs. Blackburn?
No by proxy. No.
Chair Durbin?
Aye.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 13 yeas, 9 nays.
The nomination will be favorably reported to the floor. On favorably reporting the nomination of Candace Jackson-Akiwumi to be U.S. Circuit Judge for the Seventh Circuit, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Leahy? Aye. Mrs. Feinstein? Aye. Mr. Whitehouse?
Aye.
Ms. Klobuchar? Aye. Mr. Coons? Aye. Mr. Blumenthal?
Aye.
Ms. Hirono? Aye. Mr. Booker?
Aye.
Mr. Padilla?
Aye.
Mr. Ossoff?
Aye.
Mr. Grassley?
No.
Mr. Graham?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Cornyn?
No.
Mr. Lee?
No by proxy.
Mr. Cruz? No. Mr. Sass?
No by proxy.
I just go to
Mr.
this.
Hawley?
No by proxy.
Mr. Cotton?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kennedy?
No by proxy.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mrs. Blackburn?
No by proxy.
Chair Durbin?
Aye.
Chair Durbin, the votes are 12 yeas, 10 nays.
And the nomination will be favorably reported to the floor. And with that, this meeting stands adjourned.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you and Senator Grassley for accommodating me this morning.
Happy to do it, Senator Leahy. Thanks.